This is the weekly sales meeting for December 28th, 2025. My name is Chris Fleming. You can reach me at chris@cdmediaconsulting.com or go to our website at cdmediaconsulting.com. Today's topic, a steady diet of contact. Some sellers sit back and wait for the phone to ring. Others make the call before the customer even considers picking it up. That is the difference. In local direct sales, your pipeline isn't powered by talent, pricing, or product. It is driven by contact, intentional, consistent, and well-timed contact. The kind that builds name recognition, the kind that creates momentum, the kind that earns trust over time and pushes your deals forward. Because without contact, there is no movement, and without movement, there is no sale. The best sellers understand this instinctively. We don't sit around hoping for interest. We don't wait for the client to make the next move. We lead. We pursue with purpose. We follow up with structure. We show up when it's easy and especially when it's not, because we know the hard and fast rule. If there is no contact, there is no movement. And if there's no movement, there's no momentum. No momentum means no money. Success isn't found in waiting. It's created by action. This is deliberate, consistent, and relentless contact. But for some reason, this isn't how most sellers operate. Too many live in reaction mode. We reach out when we feel like it. We follow up only when it's convenient. We drift through the day. We let tasks pull us in every direction instead of creating a steady rhythm of contact that drives results. We chase fires instead of building a plan. Then we wonder why our pipeline is thin, our deals are stalled, and our numbers aren't where they should be. It is not a mystery. It is a lack of structure. Let's be blunt. If you are not making contact, you are not making progress. And if you are not making progress, you're not in sales. You are only in motion. The top 5% of media sellers don't leave contact to chance. We build it into our schedule, like clockwork. It is not a task, it is a system. It is the engine that drives the entire week. We book meetings from meetings. We never leave a conversation without establishing a next step. We send the follow-up when we said we would. And if we promise to call on Friday at 10, we don't call at 10:05, we call at 9:59. That is not about personality. That is about discipline. And it is a habit every seller can build. That is, if you are willing to stop winging it and start working it. This isn't only my opinion, it is backed by research. The Brevet Group reports that 80% of sales require 5 or more follow-ups to close the deal. Yet 44% of sellers give up after 1 or maybe 2 follow-ups. Think about that. About half of the competition is out of the game after a single attempt, or perhaps 2. That is not only an opportunity, that is a competitive advantage, if you are willing to stick with it. But it won't happen by accident. Sellers who succeed at this don't try to follow up. We schedule it. We block time for it. We treat it like it is as essential as the meeting itself. That's because it is. The first conversation is the spark, the follow-up is the fuel. Without it, the deal goes cold and fast. And in our selling universe, cold deals don't warm themselves. Let me give you a real-world example. One seller I coached had great first meetings. She was engaging. She was insightful. Most meetings were full of potential, but nothing was closing. Her proposals were good. Her presentation was clear. Her product knowledge was strong, but her deals weren't moving. When we looked closer, we found the issue. She was finishing every meeting with a, "Great, let me know if you have any questions." No next step. No calendar hold, no deadline, and no contact for days, sometimes weeks. Her follow-up plan? She didn't have one. She was waiting for the client to circle back, waiting for a decision to magically appear, or waiting for the timing to feel right. In her mind, silence meant the deal was still alive. In reality, it meant it was already dead, because hope isn't a strategy, it's a good girl's name. Waiting isn't progress. She was expecting a miracle, and guess what? That miracle never came. Not because the client wasn't interested, but because she never gave them a reason to move. So we made one change. She started ending every meeting by saying, "Let's set up a quick 10-minute call next Tuesday for a review and decide on next steps." That's it. Simple, clear, easy to execute, but it changed her entire outlook. Within 1 quarter, her close rate jumped by 40%. Why? Not because she got smarter, not because the product changed, but because she created a rhythm of contact that moved her sales conversations forward. That is the power of a steady diet of contact. It keeps the deal alive. But here's the key. It's not about how often you reach out. It's about when you do it, how you do it, and why. Frequency alone won't close the deal. Timing, tone, and intent matter. Contact without context is white noise. It is as effective as Charlie Brown's teacher. it gets ignored. But contact with purpose, that builds trust. That creates movement. That turns a maybe into a yes. Because contact with clarity is what drives progress. That means your outreach has to do something. Every call, every email, every message should add value, confirm intent, ask for clarity, or set direction. You are not checking in. You are not touching base. That is what everyone else does. Good sellers ask, does this contact earn me the right to ask for the next step? Great sellers already have the next step built in. That is what separates the pros from the pack. The best sellers think like project managers. Every account is a process. Every conversation is a checkpoint. Every action leads to another action. We use a CRM system. We don't use it as a filing cabinet, but as a strategic tool. We know when the last call was, what was said, what was promised, and what comes next. And more importantly, we act on it daily, because success in sales is not about who wants it more. It is about who works it better. If you are sitting back, hoping your buyer will reach out when they are ready, you are not selling, you are only waiting. That is not sales, that is order taking, and in media sales, order takers don't last. They get replaced. First, it will be by automation, and then by indifference, and eventually by someone who showed up 5 minutes earlier, asked the right question, and earned the business. Because in this game, timing matters, action matters, and sellers who hesitate lose to those who don't. You can't afford to be forgettable, and nothing makes you more forgettable than silence. There is a reason the phrase out of sight, out of mind exists. If your name isn't in front of them on the regular, if your voice isn't in their inbox, in their voicemail, or on their calendar, you are invisible. Not because they don't care, but because they are busy. Like you, they have deadlines, they have distractions, and if you're not pushing the process forward, no one is. This is where the myth of the interested buyer becomes a trap. Too many sellers convince themselves that if the buyer wants it, they will make the next move. That is a lie, and it's a costly one. Interest is only the spark, but the spark fades without fuel. Action needs ignition. It needs a nudge. It needs direction. And most of all, it needs contact. Without it, your deals stall. Momentum dies, and the opportunity disappears while the seller waits for a sign that never comes. If you are not reaching out, you are not building urgency. You are hoping someone else does it for you. As sales expert Grant Cardone puts it, contact is the first step to sales domination. You cannot dominate a market you are not in contact with. You cannot win deals that you are not actively working. Here is what I tell teams all the time. Your pipeline is a garden. If you don't water it, it doesn't grow. It withers, both quietly and predictably. It is not about emotion. It is about maintenance. And yet too many sellers treat their pipeline like a slot machine. We make a few calls, fire off a couple of emails, and then hope the universe delivers. We gamble instead of working out a plan. But selling isn't luck, it is discipline. And hoping something hits isn't a strategy, it is a fantasy dressed up as effort. The top performers don't leave it to chance. We build a system. We time block prospecting hours. We schedule follow-ups the same day we make the presentation. We treat our calendar like a contract with ourselves and with our buyer. And when we say we will call back on Tuesday, we call back on Tuesday even if nothing has changed. Especially if nothing has changed. Because that call says something. It tells the buyer, I haven't forgotten about you. It signals you are a priority. It proves I do what I say I will do. It may seem small, but it is a difference maker. It is consistency. It is reliability. And that's the foundation of trust. Deals don't close because of luck or charm. They close because the buyer believes in the seller. And that belief is built through follow-through. Show up when you say you will, and you're already ahead of most. Trust wins business, and trust starts with showing up. In fact, research from Salesforce found that 79% of business buyers say it is very important to work with a salesperson they trust. Not someone they like, not someone who shows up once and disappears. Someone they trust to show up. Someone they trust to follow through. Someone they trust to stay consistent. Consistency builds credibility. Credibility builds trust. Trust builds deals. That is the chain. Break any link and the deal falls apart. Here are the tactics. If you want to build a steady rhythm of contact into your routine, don't overcomplicate it. Start simple. Block 2 focused 45-minute windows each day. Dedicate them solely to contact. Not admin, not checking email, not rearranging your calendar. Contact. That means outbound communication with intent. Calls, follow-up emails, texts, LinkedIn messages, whatever gets conversations moving. Treat that time like an unbreakable appointment. Because if you don't protect it, the day will steal it. And when contact time disappears, so does your pipeline. Start each week by reviewing your pipeline. Who is stalled? Who is due for a next step? Who needs a push? Then schedule the push. Don't wait till you have time. Make time. Block it. That is what top sellers do. We don't try to find time, we protect it. One seller I know uses a simple rule called 3-2-1. He does 3 follow-ups a day. He has 2 pending deals where the next steps will be confirmed, and he'll have 1 meeting booked every single day. That is it. It is manageable, it is trackable, and it builds momentum. You don't need to overthink it. You only need to outwork the competition. And the competition isn't always somebody else. It's often our own inconsistency. I will train people to use a method I refer to as 10-5-2. This is a weekly plan to find 10 current customers who can buy one more thing from you, getting 5 new prospects who are strategically aligned with you and your audience. This means they fit your ideal customer profile. They have the potential to be long-term customers. And the 2 are white whale accounts. They have the biggest potential for long-term impact for both them and you. As you connect with these prospects, you replace them at the same rate you convert them. If you make this your plan, you will build both momentum and inertia. The truth is, selling media isn't about making magic happen in one call. It's about showing up again and again with clarity, confidence, and consistency. It is about saying, here is what we discussed, here is what will happen next, and here is when we will talk again. It is about building a rhythm that becomes unbreakable. That is what elite sellers do. Not once in a while, not only when their schedule allows, every single day. We don't wait for perfect timing. We create momentum through consistent action. Because we know the fastest way to hit the number is to stay on top of every opportunity. And the fastest way to lose a deal? Stop reaching out. Let it sit. Let it cool. Let it drift. Contact is how you stay connected. And staying connected is how we will close. So the next time your week feels slow, your pipeline feels thin, or your close rate starts to slip, don't panic and don't guess. Don't sit back hoping things will fix themselves. Don't wait for a miracle lead to fall into your lap. Pick up the phone, reignite the conversation, reconfirm where things stand and what comes next. Push it forward. Because what your pipeline needs isn't luck, and it's not inspiration, it is contact. Intentional, steady, daily contact. That is how momentum starts, and that is how deals get across the finish line in one piece. My new book, Double Your Revenue, is now available on Amazon.com. If you like what you have heard here today, please consider ordering a copy, or 2. You can always send one to a friend. Go to cdmediaconsulting.com right now and follow the instructions to order.